ball exactly where you want it around your target by using the passing reticle and target area.
Really became a boss many years back. When I'm gone, can be pull your tears back. We put the bang and produce.
This is a special presentation of EA Sports from the Coliseum in Oakland. Our tribute to the coach, the John Madden Legacy Game. I'm Brandon Gaudin here to take you through the proceedings. And coming up, we're going to tell the story of a man who was truly larger than life and whose impact on the sport of football certainly is going to live on for decades and decades to come. Now, we've assembled a couple of rosters featuring some of Coach's favorite players from both yesterday and today. And Coach himself will be on the sidelines for both squads, trying to motivate his guys to victory. And I'm joined now by my good friend Charles Davis. CD, your thoughts on John Madden and what he meant to the sport he loved so much?
For me, Brandon, it's the word joy. He brought that to the game of football and brought the game to so many people. He stayed involved his entire life. And moving forward, when you think of football, you're always going to think John Madden.
The Coliseum back to its original 70s glory. What a scene in the East Bay. And we're underway in the John Madden Legacy Game.
You ain't going nowhere.
And a good return as he'll be stopped just shy of the 30-yard line. So it's the NFC stars who will get the ball first. And Charles, as we alluded to, we've got a different era of coach on each sideline. So the man coaching this NFC squad, we'll call him Young John Madden. This is a coach who was trying to establish a foothold in the NFL and on the cusp of doing it very successfully.
Yeah, you think back to that period, those early days as the coach of the Raiders, the late 60s in the AFL and then in the NFL in the early 70s. Coach was a guy who was ahead of his time. The Raiders were one of the first teams to have mini camps, one of the first to film practice, because he wanted to practice coaching as much as he could.
And right away, he lost the football. And they're going to set up shop at the 27-yard line.
As you and I both know, one reason teams script plays to start a game is so they can practice them ahead of time. I will guarantee you, that fumble was not in the script.
You don't think they had fumble written next to play one there?
No, that was never in the script because they want to have good memories when they go into a ball game, not something that could have gone wrong.
So, Charles, as mentioned, we've got another Coach Madden over here on the AFC sideline. Of course, his Raiders, members of the AFC West. So this is a conference he battled in for his entire career. And you think about the landscape of the NFL as he was getting into the back half of his tenure. It was a golden era for coaches. You had Don Shula, Tom Landry, Chuck Noll, Bud Grant. But it was John Madden who had the best winning percentage of them all, CD. 759, the best ever.
Brandon, it's hard to believe he could be so successful in the conference with all those great teams. The Steelers won 4 Super Bowls. The Dolphins won 2 and were a mainstay in the playoffs. The Colts were tough. The Broncos came on late and went to a Super Bowl themselves. But against Hall of Fame coaches, John Madden's record, 36, 16, and 2. That's pretty incredible. His Raiders were a factor each and every year.
They'll try and pound it with a big back Bettis. It'll be called a gain of 2, and that'll leave them with some options here on 4th and inches. They'll go for it. It's Brady. And he fires one that's intercepted. Deion Sanders, the Hall of Famer, with a pick. And a short return to the 6-yard line. I appreciate the aggressiveness trying to go for it there on 4th down, but you're in the red zone, had 3 points in your back pocket. Instead, Charles, they throw it away.
Certainly a big call to go for it on 4th down. As you said, in the red zone, definitely going to cost them 3 points, and we'll see how that affects the game as time goes on.
The NFC offense coming out here, and you know, Charles, Coach Madden always said that if he had one drive to win a game and he had to pick a quarterback, he would pick Kenny Stabler. But I think if you asked him to omit any of his Raiders players, there's a good chance the guy he'd select would be Brett Favre.
Brett Favre is always smiling. He's always laughing. He's always talking to someone. He remembers that it's a game. And if it's a game, you should have fun.
And Brandon, that always reminds me of a great movie line where one of the players was telling the coach, every time I say it's a game, you say it's a business. Every time I say it's a business, you say it's a game. With Coach, it was always a game.
So as we mentioned at the top, let's take you through the life of John Madden. And you know, it's very fitting that we're here back in the Bay Area, not just because John's so associated with Raider football, but also because this was where he spent his formative years.
Yeah, he grew up over in Daly City with his buddy John Robinson, who would also become an NFL head coach. And he played his high school ball at Jefferson High, eventually wound up playing tackle at the University of Oregon and later Cal Poly San Luis Obispo. Played well enough that in 1958, he was a 21st round draft pick of the Philadelphia Eagles. That's right, the draft had 30 rounds then.
Back-to-back good plays have him on the move on first down. They'll run with Sanders up the middle. And able to get this one across the 45 before he's brought down. But Charles, you mentioned Coach was a 21st round draft pick back in 1958. It was the Philadelphia Eagles who selected him. But unfortunately for John, knee problems, they just continued to dog him. He was hurt in his first training camp. Actually never saw the field as a player in the NFL. But it was still during his time with the Eagles, you and I were talking about this before going on air, that you could start to see the light bulb going on for what his career path might entail.
And it went on in a big way, didn't it? Because while he was rehabbing his knee, he started to spend a lot of time breaking down film with the Eagles with quarterback Norm Van Brocklin, the future Hall of Famer and future head coach in the NFL. Remember, Van Brocklin coached with the Falcons, he coached with the Vikings. And was there during that time. I think Coach Madden realized his love for football and love for teaching. Combining all that together.
Oh, that's into a sea of bodies, and it's intercepted. And they will set up shop in enemy territory at the 42-yard line. Trying to shake off the interception from the last drive. He'll look to throw. Flushed out right. And this is incomplete. Charles, you know, it was in the early 1960s that a young John Madden made the acquaintance of the owner of the Oakland Raiders, one Al Davis, of course. And the two, they really bonded, would become one of the best owner-coach duos in NFL history. And to take it a step further, Al Davis became someone who John referred to as his best friend.
Yeah, in 1967, Brandon, Al Davis hired Coach Madden to be a linebackers coach. Remember, this was still the AFL at that point. It was not merged totally with the NFL. And Coach Madden, he paid dividends almost immediately. Helped the Raiders win the AFL title in 1968. And that meant a date with the Green Bay Packers in what was now known as Super Bowl II. But by 1969, at the age of 32, just 32, Brandon, John Madden assumed the mantle of head coach of the Oakland Raiders. And what a ride he, the Raiders, and the NFL were about to go on.
So they're forced to punt on fourth as this one's away. And now where will the side judge stop his walk? That's the question. He says it crossed out of bounds at about the 17-yard line. The NFC heading back out. Hall of Famer Randy Moss a part of this offense. And Coach Madden, boy, he always appreciated the ferociousness with which number 84 attacked the football in the air.
As Randy Moss says, just chunk it up there, dog, and I'll go get it.
And Coach, boy, did he ever go get it. Over 15,000 receiving yards, 156 touchdowns. And how about this? From his rookie year of 1998 until 2009, those were his prime seasons, right? He led the league in touchdowns 5 times, but even more so, he showed us all how to go up and get it. Great body control. No one's ever done it better playing the ball in the air.
Charles, you talked about John Madden and the Raiders going on a ride. Well, try these numbers on for size. In 10 seasons as a head coach, the Raiders won their division 7 times. They finished second the other 3 times. And he became the youngest coach to amass 100 career regular season victories and is still, to this day, the franchise leader in wins.
And when you think about it, that's where that rivalry with Kansas City really took root. As did the expression, commitment to excellence. And boy, was it personified by the players who played for Coach Madden. On offense, how about quarterback Kenny Stabler, wide receiver Cliff Branch, wide receiver Fred Biletnikoff, tight end Dave Casper, to name a few. How about those great linemen he had? Center Jim Otto, guard Gene Upshaw, tackle Art Shell, all of them in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. And guys on the defensive side of the ball, the Mad Stork himself, Ted Hendricks, Willie Brown, John Matuzak, Otis Sistrom, and Big Ben Davidson. So many great players, so many great memories.
So how about that for a chain mover? They're all the way down inside the 40 now for 1st and 10. Here's Favre to throw. Over the middle, complete. It's Moss. And he'll be taken down after a pickup of about 7 as the clock will stop here for the 2-minute warning.
Let's go now.
From the shotgun, it's Favre. Tries for Rice, intercepted. There he goes, right side. And he is going to score. It's a pick-6 and an AFC touchdown.
We constantly talk about defenders having great vision and being able to see plays unfold and make their own plays, but you also have to have good feel as well because you can't see everything out there. See the play unfold, feel what's going on, and then get to the right spot and make your own play. And in this case, it turned out to be a highlight one.
So they throw the pick-6. They'll get another shot at it now as this one's in the air. Hester going to decide against a return, and they will spot this at the 25. Ready to begin their next drive here, the NFC offense. After the pick-6, they go right back to the air. And his throw's going to be incomplete.
Charles, you think about all the success that John Madden had as an NFL head coach, and he had plenty, and we talked about it, including the 10 straight winning seasons, a Super Bowl title. But like any great coach, he also suffered through a few tough losses along the way as well.
And Brandon, those tough losses came in high-stakes games because they always had such great success. Think about it this way. 6 times in his 10 years, the Raiders were knocked out near the AFL championship game or the AFC championship game. There might be a divisional round exit. That's the one that bothered him most of all. Three River Stadium, December 1972. Yes, the Immaculate Reception game. Franco Harris grabbing the ball that was deflected. Almost at his shoe tops, he picked it up and took it in for a game-winning score to give the Steelers a 13-7 victory. And partner, anyone who loves black and silver still doesn't believe that ball.
And for the 3rd time here in this half, it's intercepted. Picked up by the Hall of Famer, Junior Seau. And he is going to score. It's a pick-6 and an AFC touchdown. Vinatieri now to tack on the PAT. And it's good to make it 14-0. A heck of a play there defensively, getting the interception, navigating his way into the end zone for the touchdown. So they'll get another shot on offense following that pick-6, and now the kick is away. Here comes Devin Hester bringing it out. And ultimately cannot get this out to the 25-yard line as he's dropped it to 23. The offense for the NFC ready to get their next drive started.
And Charles, we'll see what they can do here. Not a ton of time left, but enough certainly to get points out of this drive, and they need them right now because they're trailing.
Yeah, this is exactly why you practice a 2-minute drill all through camp and at least one practice each week before a game. A minute left, more than enough time to string a few completions together, reach the end zone, and then make that walk back to the locker room.
He's got a man, complete. Now the NFC going to call the first of their 3 timeouts as they'll stop it with a little over 30 seconds to go in the first half of play. So the big play moves them all the way across midfield to the 40 now for 1st and 10.
Now Favre.
That's going to be caught by Moss. And he gets this one inside the 15, just a yard or 2 shy of the 10. That'll be marked as a 27-yard pickup.
Some guys just simply have it, and Randy Moss is one of those guys. His big playability, once again on display right there.
That's what he's known for. He averaged 15.6 yards per reception during his playing days. Highest career yards per catch average for any player with 900 or more receptions. On first down, Favre. Oh, the ball comes out on the hit, but they'll say it's incomplete.
There's an incompletion, partner, and the struggles through the air continue because so far their lack of passing production has led to a lack of points.
The quick throw knocked away. It's incomplete.
I'm really liking what I'm seeing from this defense because their coverage has been playing at a shutdown level so far. Even backed up late, they're forcing incompletions and fighting to keep them at the end zone as the first half winds down.
And he couldn't quite get there. Tackled down at the 1. Now the NFC going to use their third and final timeout as they'll stop the clock with 12 seconds to go in this first half. This is first and goal and a golden chance to get a score back here before halftime. Favre. And that's going to be caught. Touchdown NFC. George Kittle in the final seconds of the first half. And the NFC able to draw a bit closer. The way this one was going, you just got the sense they needed something before half. They've at least got something on the board now. Still trailing, but a good sign.
That takes me back to our preseason tour of NFL camps. You remember we talked with that one coach who said his emphasis this year was scoring in the last 2 minutes of a half, heading into the locker room. This hits it right there. Take that momentum, take that good feeling, and take the locker room, regroup, and start over. They got it here.
They did indeed. A lot of football, a full half to be played. So not much time to work with here. 9 seconds remain in the half as this one is away. And not wanting to risk anything here late in the half, he'll just take a knee and they'll bring the football out to the 25. Well, the AFC offense heading back out. You know, Charles, Coach really loved to utilize his tight ends in the passing game. You think about Dave Casper, Hall of Famer for those great Raider teams. And I think he saw a lot of Dave Casper in an all-Madden staple, Tony Gonzalez.
Tony Gonzalez is the type of tight end I think everyone's looking for. He's a guy that can make some big plays from that tight end position. Let me tell you, you better make sure you have him accounted for on every play.
And that's exactly right because Dave Casper, he could shred defenses down the middle of the field. And that's exactly what Tony Gonzalez did in his entire career. A 14-time Pro Bowl selection. Only Tom Brady.
Well, coming up in the second half, we'll run through John's post-coaching triumphs. But for now, we present a very special tribute to the man of the hour, narrated by Trey Mosley.
What comes to mind when you hear the name Madden? Is it the coach who led the Raiders to their first Super Bowl victory? Perhaps it's the broadcaster who entertained millions of fans. Or maybe it's the video game known simply by his name. But no matter what comes to mind when you hear the name Madden, everyone thinks of one thing: football.
The core of it was football. It's the greatest game in the world. The left goes to the right goes to the left.
Madden is on the field. He wants to know if it's real. John Madden goes on the shoulders of his players.
In my mind, John Madden is the most important figure in the history of professional football. Show me somebody else who did it on 3 levels the way John did it. There's nobody.
Boy, Charles, yeah, that is really well done. Coach was something else, wasn't he?
I'm reminded what Al Davis said when he was inducting coach of the Pro Football Hall of Fame, Brandon. He loved the game. He loved his team. He loved the Raiders. He loved this league. And you can see it with everything he does.
No doubt. But it's quite possible, though, that now he would say, hey, enough of that. Let's play some football. And the second half forthcoming from Oakland. The offense for the AFC set to go now. They start the drive with a give to Allen. And not a whole lot of room to operate there on the first down run. He gets maybe 3. Here's 2nd and 7 now from the 28. Throwing now is Brady. And he wisely will throw that one away. So now, Charles, to pick up the story we've been telling, John Madden at 42, he had just completed a 10-year stint as the coach of the Raiders. He wants to step away a bit from the grind of coaching, but he doesn't want to step away from the game of football. So he ends up signing on with CBS in 1979 to try his hand at broadcasting. And much like his coaching career, it was pretty much an instant success.
Partner, he really connected with the people right from the start, and people may not remember he wasn't even on the #1 team in the beginning. He worked his way up. But the same things that made him a great coach made him a great broadcaster. The ability to show the big picture, yet break it down into the details. That's what he did with his teams. That's what he did with the people. That way, he was simple to understand, yet insightful for viewers. And he did with that big personality that he had, one that connected with everyone.
Ready to begin their next drive here, the NFC offense. Over the middle, that's hauled in by Cup. So for Coach Madden, Charles, by 1981, his broadcasting career is really taking off. He's elevated to the network's #1 booth that calls all the big matchups. And he gets the plum assignment of calling Super Bowl 16, 49ers and Bengals, and he's teamed up with Pat Summerall. And that pairing ultimately would go on to be one of the most influential in sports broadcasting history.
Influential not just in us listening to them. Remember, they went on and called 8 Super Bowls together. But how they put together kind of the template that all of us broadcasters follow now. Sitting down with the head coaches and the quarterbacks and the stars of each team before a ball game to get extra information. And the way that those two paired together, Pat Summerall, short, concise, to the point, and turned it over to Coach Madden to fill in all the big details.
Play action, it's Favre. Under a heavy rush, and down he goes. A well-designed corner blitz that gets him for a loss of 8 yards. How about that? The defense's first sack. It doesn't come from one of the usual suspects up front. It comes from the secondary.
Yeah, I think they caught the quarterback off guard a little bit because he wasn't able to account for the possibility of that blitz and change the blocking assignments. He comes through and puts him on the ground.
As you mentioned, CD, talking about John Madden, the broadcaster, he called 8 Super Bowls with Pat Summerall, 3 more with Al Michaels later in his career. He spent nearly 3 decades in the booth all told. And not only was he beloved for his mannerisms, we know that, but he was an innovator as well.
Yeah, Brandon, you're talking about things like the telestrator, which totally became identified with him, and now it's a staple for all analysts to have in the booth. And then you think about things like turducken on Thanksgiving, when he used words like boom and pow. He helped create the All-Madden team. He was a very popular commercial pitch man. And even the Madden Cruiser was unique, and you had to be someone to get a ride on it, too.
So on the other side of the field now, it's 1st and 10, as they've got things rolling on this drive. They go back to the ground with Sanders, and he'll run straight into a wall of tacklers at the line of scrimmage. It's 2nd down. 3 quarters complete now in the John Madden legacy game from Oakland. It's the AFC on top, and we're back to the Coliseum after this. Back now here on EA Sports. It's NFC football, but they have some work to do on the scoreboard as we start the 4th. Throwing is Favre. The tight end Kittle has it on the left side. And he's going to be marked down just inside the 35. Now, CD, we did get a little ahead of ourselves talking about John Madden, the broadcaster in the 90s and 2000s, because there was another product during that time period that he became quite famous for, and it's something that you and I know a little bit about, and that's the video game that bears his name. Originally John Madden Football when it was first released back in the late 1980s, and now known the world over simply as Madden.
And Coach saw this originally as a way to teach the game of football. The early designs were for a 7-on-7 game, but he said no chance. He would not sign off on it. He wanted to be as realistic as possible. He told him, call me when it's 11-on-11, and he got his wish.
Yeah, after that debut, Madden the video game continued to pick up steam through the 90s in a big way, and John himself, many will remember, was a commentator for the series for many years. And now here we are in the 2020s, and this game has sold somewhere in the neighborhood of 150 million copies. So, CD, you look at the accumulation of John Madden's achievements in the world of football, the coaching success, the Super Bowl title, the incredible career as a broadcaster with 12 Emmy Awards, Madden the video game. It was very fitting back in 2006 that John Madden got the call to be enshrined into the Pro Football Hall of Fame.
A more deserving person you will not find. He gave an incredible speech on that day, Brandon. So many of his former Raider players were in attendance. He talked about how he envisioned that when the last person turns off the lights in the hall every night, that the bus talk football amongst themselves. And what a discussion that might be.
Yeah, he finished his speech by saying, today feels like the second time in my life that I'm being carried off on the shoulders of others. Yet instead of off the field, it's into the Hall of Fame. This has been the sweetest ride of them all.
Back to throw. Quick hitter here, it's complete. 5 yards that time on the completion, and now it's 3rd and goal. They'll look to throw. And that's going to be caught. Touchdown NFC. Cooper Kupp, a 7-yard touchdown grab. And the NFC just an extra point away from tying up this game. Well, the hard part's done. Now they just need to split the posts, tie it up, but then their defense is going to have to hold up to send it to overtime.
Yeah, no matter what. I know there's an inclination in it when you have momentum to go for 2 here, but if you miss it, you don't give your defense a chance at all.
Plus, it's been a good game. I want to see overtime. I'm selfish.
You obviously don't have a flight to catch.
Tomorrow. They'll try and throw for it. And he is in for the 2. I still can't believe they went for it, but they've got themselves a lead here late in the ball game. Well, they had guts to go for that, and they got it. Now, if you're the defense, you feel some major pressure, don't you?
Well, they put it on you, haven't they? They've told you that you are the unit they believe in. We'll find out now if they can make it hold up. But, boy, just going for it in that spot.
I know, right?
Amazing.
Following the touchdown, here's Anderson to kick it away. And Hall not going to bring this one out. The AFC offense set to take their next drive. Charles, a very uninspired effort the last time we saw them out there was a quick 3-and-out, then they punted the football.
Yeah, and you never want to get stopped so soundly during a series, but what would be even worse now is letting it happen again right here. They've got to get going.
You think about John Madden in his retirement years post-broadcasting. He was about as active as most people are in their working years. I mean, he continued to play a key role on the NFL.
Trying for Brown, and it's intercepted. Oh, able to avoid him. And a great return here gets this one all the way down to the 26-yard line.
Well, you knew you had to take some chances here with the clock winding down, needing a touchdown to win it, and that one might have just sealed their fate.
Yeah, and that's the nature of the 2-minute drill. The offense trying to go downfield and make their plays. But defenses, they're sitting back watching everything that they do, but not too far back. They want to be in position to make a play on the ball, and that they did.
On 1st and 10, it's Sanders. And he'll be tackled at the 23 after a gain of 3. Now the AFC going to use the first of their timeouts as they'll talk things over prior to this upcoming 2nd down play. They'll go again with Sanders.
And able to work his way down to the 16. Now a second timeout called for by the defense as it comes with 1:04 left to go in the game. On third down, they'll run it with Sanders. And he'll have the first down, getting this one to the 14-yard line. Up the middle they go with Sanders. And he can't quite get there. Tackled down at the 1. It's a gain of 14 there, and that should be enough to get him home free.
But they picked up a little bit of yardage there, and now, in this situation, should be in no hurry to run a play really fast. Let the clock wind down.
It's first and goal, and a late touchdown at this stage could officially salt this one away. Victory all but assured now as they take a knee here, and they're going to escape with a 1-point victory. So this a thriller. The NFC able to win it on the late field goal. And for all of us at EA Sports, one final look back as we say, this one's for you, Coach.
I just say this, I thank you all very much. This has been the sweetest ride of them all.